Hey everybody, today I'm going to review the Easy Sorter Funnel Tray, which is a very inexpensive yet very useful item to have around your garage, your shop, or even your house. Now what's nice about this, let's say you keep things in jars like nuts or bolts or screws and you need a specific size. You can take that jar, pour it out in this tray, pick the specific size you're looking for out, and then because this is actually designed to be a funnel, you can take everything else, pour it back into that container, and not spill anything. Now in some recent videos you may have seen this funnel tray, which is the exact identical model to the brand new one that I actually picked up this afternoon, because I wasn't even sure if they still made these or not. But I actually went to my local Harbor Freight store and looked on the shelf. They had a whole pile of them, and right off the bat I noticed on the label that this is made in the USA. So that's a unique thing for Harbor Freight, and I'm real glad to see that they do have that option with some of their tools. But what it is, it's something that is very effective, and I think the price on this is like $2.99. So really anybody can afford it, and it is a very useful thing that I pretty much use on a daily basis. Now what I want to do is actually show you how this operates. I mean, it may sound simple, but I do want to show you how easy you can pour a jar of fasteners out into this, and then pour everything back into the jar without spilling anything. And then I want to show you how I store it, because I don't hang this on the wall, even though there is a small place to do that. I actually file it with the shop manuals, because if you look at the thickness of this, it's roughly about as thick as a standard book, and you can stick that right in there with all your manuals or your magazines, and you'll always know where it is. Here's a closer look at the tray, and the dimensions on it are going to be 9.5 inches wide by 9.5 inches wide by 1.5 inches deep. Now what I do want to point out, the actual funnel portion of this does have a taper to it. At the top of it, it is 2.5 inches wide. The bottom of it will be 2 inches wide, and because this is not hard brittle plastic, you can actually bend that if the opening to your container is smaller in order to make it fit. Now let's say you have just a jar of nuts, bolts, screws, and everything else, and you're looking for a specific size of a washer. But because there's sharp things in here, you don't want to dig through or dump this out all over the workbench. What we can do is actually dump that out into the tray. We can pick out the washer we were looking for, and go ahead and set that to the side. And then because this is a funnel, we can line it up with the top of the container, tilt it up. Everything's going to go right back in place. We can screw the lid back on, and then this is ready to go back on the shelf. Now really the only limitation that I run into with the tray is when I'm dealing with fasteners that stick together, like this jar full of coated nails. When I go to pour these out of here, many of them are going to stay in the jar, and only a few are going to fall out into the tray. So you can see, even though I turned it upside down, the vast majority of them are still in the jar, and I have to shake it to get the rest of them out. Now that they are all out, let's say I wanted to take a handful of these and nail them into a board. I still would have all the remainder left that I would need to put back in the jar, and it's going to create like a log jam effect. They're going to stick together and they're going to fall over top of each other when I try to pour it into the actual container. So what I mean by that is I'm going to line it up, go to pour it in there, and even if I'm slow, you can see how they're going to fall over top of each other, and many of them are still going to fall out. So it's not a foolproof method. If you're dealing with fasteners that do stick together, or you're dealing with very large fasteners, they can get hung up in that funnel and they will fall out rather than go into the container. When you're not using the tray, storing it is very easy, and where I'll typically keep it is here with the shop manuals and tool catalogs. Because of its relatively small size, it's going to slide right into place. And even if somebody does borrow it and they don't put it back, because it is bright yellow, it's always easy to spot in either the house or the garage. Now let's say you don't have a setup like this and instead you want to hang it from the wall. You can see they do have a little eyelet on the top, and that's going to very easily allow you to hang it vertically. So now you've seen the Easy Sorter Funnel Tray for yourself. This is an extremely useful item. Pretty much anybody can afford it as well as use it, and it's something, if you're like me, you are going to use on a daily basis. Now I do really like the fact that you can keep all those loose nuts, bolts, fasteners, and everything else in jars, and then you don't have to worry about having to fish through there with your fingers or dumping it out all over the workbench. You can pour it right into this, get what you need, and then put everything back into the container without spilling anything. Now I do also want to point out once again that this is 100% made in the USA, and you can pick these up at your local Harbor Freight for like $2.99. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. And thanks for watching.